How did the museum end up in Newtonville, kind of out in an out-of-the-way place as opposed to someplace like Atlantic City or Vineland where there's a bigger population base?
Well, what happened, we had an opening of the museum about 11 years ago at Washes Inn over in Pleasantville, and we set up there, and it was a beautiful display we had put together, and the newspaper reporter came from the Atlantic City Press, and he wrote a story about African American museum in search of a home. 2 days later, we got a call from the mayor of Buena Vista Township, said he wanted us to take a look at a property that he had there, and we could possibly use the walls to display our museum goods. And that was how we got to Newtonville, New Jersey. And we've been here now for 11 years. We're in negotiation right now with CRETA and Richard Stockton College in New Jersey and with the Noyes Museum. They're going to be opening in the Art District, which is the garage called the Wave. The Wave is located on Mississippi Avenue. They have 16,000 square feet there. It's going to be a new art district. And we're going to have a satellite of about 1,000 square feet there. It's going to open this spring. Individuals who come through, we have anywhere from 10 to 12,000 people come through here in the course of the year. That includes school trips, bus trips, churches, sororities, the Red Hat Ladies, you name the different organizations, all the different sororities and fraternities, from the Boy Scouts to the group homes, people with nursing homes. They all come here. They bring them on their special buses and they come here. So we have people in and out of here every day. Even today, you noticed there was a group here from Willingboro, New Jersey, or I think from Burlington County somewhere. Pennsauken, right. Pennsauken. 22 schools in the month of February. It's called the Traveling Museum. And we go to a school, we take over their whole entire gymnasium, and we set up our Traveling Museum. We take 17 of their best and brightest students, and those students become docents. A docent's a person who presents. Each one of those students is responsible for presenting about 5 or 6 items. What they have to do, we send them what we're going to be bringing. They go online and do additional research, and they also make the presentation throughout the course of the day. Last week we were in Galloway Township Elementary School, and we served some 650 students with 17 docents. Whether George Washington Carver had nothing to do with peanut butter, or that Angela Davis did what she did when she did it in her period, or Harold Washington was the mayor of Chicago, Illinois, things of that nature that they normally don't see in their history books. So what generally happens, they'll find things in our particular exhibit where they can learn, and it's the kind of thing that they'll stay with them the rest of the Well, we fund the museum from donations from sponsors. The bulk of our funding for the museum comes from our Traveling Museum. There is a honorarium that we charge when we go to a school, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,400 if we have to go to North Jersey. We've gone to all the major colleges in New Jersey, as well as Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. So that's our major funding source. We do get sponsors for our individual exhibits when we come together, and we have a fundraiser once a year where we celebrated last year our 10th anniversary. And of course this year we'll be celebrating our 11th anniversary, and we will raise funds from that. We don't charge to come into the museum. It's absolutely free, but we do ask for a goodwill offering. The exhibit we have coming up for Rosa Parks, we're going to have a special envelope with Rosa Parks' picture on it, and it'll say, "I attended the unveiling of the Rosa Parks stamp," and we were going to ask for a $10 donation for those, and it'll come with a stamp, and they'll get an actual cancellation from the Newtonville Post Office from the African American Museum. So those are little ways that we raise money to keep our doors open. It's a tough challenge because, as you very well know, funding for the arts is quite difficult, and we're just very fortunate to have a wonderful board of directors who help us in many, many ways, financially and with their time and service that they provide for us. We work constantly with Richard Stockton College. They were here for Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. They had a day of service here, so they brought over a busload of students, and we worked on getting some mailings out for some of the schools we have to travel to, and for our latest exhibit. There's no question about that. I don't know how to really put a dollar value on an individual item. I mean, we can look at an item like here, Aunt Jemima, cost a lot of money. There's thousands of items that are priceless.
Uh-huh.
The collection that was found underneath the house in Atlantic City, portraits of people, priceless. I have statues of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King made by Yadro in Spain, priceless. Dr. King's cufflinks, priceless. I could just go on and on for hours and hours and talk about a person who walked in here about not too very long ago from southern part of New Jersey. I won't name the town, but he was a former member of the Ku Klux Klan, and he had some items he wanted to drop off to us, and he asked us were we interested in them. And I thought about it for a minute, and I said to myself, why should we be promoting Klan information here at the museum? But that's history, and that's the story we have to tell. We accepted him, and he brought them in, and we have a collection. He must have brought 25, 30 pieces of Klan material from southern New Jersey right into the museum. But that's all part of the makeup of the museum. And if you look around, you can see advertisements. Advertisements are very, very important. We have a wind-up car of Amos and Andy, taxi cab. You know, Amos and Andy was originally two white guys, and they wore blackface. And then later on, the Amos and Andy, they depicted these two African Americans in a very, very negative way. And then all of a sudden they came up with Black Amos and Andy, which was very, very negative, you know, in the same way that the whites did it in blackface. But Amos and Andy's are very, very important. There's a lady by the name of Madam C.J. Walker, who's very, very important. There's Madam Sarah Spencer Washington from Atlantic City owned a company called Apex. She was a very, very wealthy African American. She employed more than 300 black folks. I even have some of her former employees' letters that she had written to them had gotten in touch with me because she wanted to leave Madam Washington and go and open her own dry cleaners. And Madam Washington wrote to her, if your business is not successful, you can always reapply to come back to work for me. Just thinking of an African American owning a golf course in Atlantic County, unheard of. Madam Spencer Washington owned the Apex Country Club, which was a black country club. And people like Nucky
Where was
Johnson.
that located?
In Pomona. It's still sitting there today. It's called Pomona Country Club.
Okay.
It was called Apex Country Club.
Wow.
People like Nucky Johnson had his own golf team, who I have photographs, of course, of playing there. The city clerks would play these black golfers. Black golfers would come from all over to play there. I have pictures, a film of Joe Louis playing golf at that golf course. I mean, just tremendous information about blacks.
Yeah.
We had wonderful nightclubs. The Club Harlem, of course, was a very important part of black history in Atlantic City. That whole Kentucky Avenue, the KY and the curb, it was so very, very important. You can walk down Kentucky Avenue in the 40s and the 50s and see 5,000 people on the street at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just unbelievable. No crime. When you say we need to do, you mean
As a country. Yeah,
as a country, okay. I think our country's probably on the right track. I think that President Obama has brought a great deal of change to the thinking of people around not only Atlantic County but around the state, around the country. When we saw the embracement of the governor and the president coming together with the latest hurricane, we're bringing all the people together to try to make this a much better place. I think to make it better, we just have to put our heads together and say that we're all in this here together, and we have to find a way to feed our kids, to pay our mortgages, to pay our fair share of taxes. I think the next step is a step in progress to move forward in many, many different ways. I can't really say one particular area. I think the political machine is working very well for blacks as well as white. I think that the enforcement of the new laws that the president was just recently talking about for bringing people with green cards into the fold, so that more and more people will have an opportunity to get their cards and to speak English and to get their GEDs and to be part of the American machine. There's so many jobs that were taken back in the 20s and 30s in the cotton fields of Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, as my parents did pick cotton. They have cotton gins now to do that. They have machines that pull oranges off trees, and but we have to just find a way to re-educate the newer people moving into in our area, and giving them the same opportunities that we had. And I notice if I go to school, if I went to school in Galloway Township last week, I think there were 15, 16 nationalities in each one of those different classes of 30 people. It's just amazing the melting pot that we have here in South Jersey. It's just tremendous, really tremendous. This is probably one of the most exciting exhibits we've ever had at the museum. We've had the pleasure to be chosen to unveil the Rosa Parks stamp. The Rosa Parks stamp was going to celebrate, if she was alive, to be 100 years old on the 4th of February. So that stamp will be unveiled here, and the United States Post Office will be here with a special cancellation for that one day. You'll be able to buy Rosa Parks stamps and put it on an envelope and have it sealed here from the United States Post Office of Newtonville in conjunction with the African American Museum. And I think that's so very, very, very important that people know, to understand, to come out to take a look at the great accomplishments. You know, Rosa Parks was a lady, most people say Rosa Parks sat on the bus. Rosa Parks didn't get up off the bus. But Rosa Parks was a great spiritual leader and inspiration to Martin Luther King and to Ralph Abernathy, who they worked very, very close with. On that bus ride that she took, I mean, just amazing. I was so very much impressed. I never had the pleasure of meeting with her, but I shook the hand that shook her hand, so that was kind of nice. That exhibit should be just fantastic. The exhibit opens on the 9th of February and it runs through May 1st. And in conjunction with the Rosa Parks, we have Glennis Reed, who's a local artist from Egg Harbor Township, who's going to be showing her works of art. She has 35 pieces of art, and it's her first time showing here at the museum. And the third person is a gentleman by the name of Paul Gibson. Paul Gibson is a collector of archives of old newspapers. His newspapers date back to the 1700s, and it talks about the struggle, the lynching, the Emancipation Proclamation, all the different things that took place in Washington, in Detroit, and Memphis, from Medgar Evers to the slaying of Dr. Martin Luther King, from the selling of slaves, from President Lincoln signing the Emancipation Proclamation 150 years ago. It's a wonderful, eclectic collection of newspapers, and I just want everyone to come out and just take a couple minutes to look through this wonderful exhibit. It's very, very, very interesting. And we also have an exhibit here at the museum called Stereotypes. Right now we're sitting in the Stereotype exhibit, and this exhibit talks about how African Americans were treated in the advertisement world, how Aunt Jemima was a lady with a handkerchief on her head, with big red lips, teeth, no smile, just mean looking. And the evolution starting back in 1902 right through to today. Aunt Jemima products are still sold today, but Aunt Jemima in 1994, got a perm. They took the rag off Aunt Jemima's head, the handkerchief, and they gave Aunt Jemima a perm, and they made her with a pair of earrings, and she looks absolutely great. You can go into any supermarket or anything in the country today and buy Aunt Jemima products with the new Aunt Jemima. Evolution has taken place. You can look at other products like Gold Dust Twins, where they stereotypic the two young kids on a box of washing powder. You can look at Cream of Wheat products, how the evolution, how it started with a young man who was working as a waiter in a restaurant, and a photographer comes in and takes a photograph of him and says, good photograph, here's $5, and he gives him the $5. And ever since that day, Cream of Wheat's been using him as their flagship on all of their products. and his family's never received 1 penny more from that $5. And there's a whole story with that. But we tell that story, and we bring that story into the evolution of if you walked into a supermarket today and you wanted to buy products, you could buy such great products as Wheaties. You could buy Famous Amos cookies, and they have the actual black person on it, but they're getting paid. Joanna Lassane, which is a local lady from Atlantic City, was the first African American to appear on a Pepsi ad. And that happened because there was a young black doctor in Atlantic City who was commissioned to, with a group of other doctors, to find some black folks to put in Pepsi's commercials. And Dr. Wilson found Joanna Lassane. And she was also a model for Ebony Fashion Show for many, many years. She's alive and well and lives on North Michigan Avenue in Atlantic City. She was a dancer. She taught in the Atlantic City school system. And she's just a wonderful contribution of how African Americans have pulled up from the Aunt Jemima, the cream of wheat, to where we are today in advertising. I mean, Muhammad Ali got paid. Emmett Smith got paid. All these great Tiger Woods, they got paid for being on these advertisements, but these other folks did not. So the evolution is quite interesting. And if you come and take the tour here at the museum, our experienced guides will guide you through, and it's we want initial feedback. We want to interact with people who come to the museum. It's not just look at that, read the sign, and that's what's happening. We want to explain to you what's going on, and we want to get answers back from you about what was your life about at that point in time. How did things happen for you? And that's the way the museum works. It's a living, talking museum that we interact with people, and that's what makes us famous. And that's our brand.
All right. Now,